What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and unfortunately, the New York Yankees have been told they are out on Roki Sasaki. Now, this morning and kind of in the early afternoon, teams have been informed about whether they're in or not in on right-handed pitcher Roki Sasaki, a 23-year-old phenom coming over from Japan from the Nippon Baseball League, which is, can be shortened to the NPB. The right-hander is considered one of the best pitchers on the planet, and for good reason. He has a fastball that can touch triple digits, has reached 102 and 103 miles per hour on it, but the New York Yankees will not be the team that Roki Sasaki signs with, according to Jack Curry of Yes Network and various other league sources. Now, the New York Yankees aren't the only team who's been told that it's unlikely or that they are not signing with that team today. The Giants were informed of this, according to their GM, who revealed it on a press conference call regarding the signing of Justin Verlander. The New York Mets are unlikely and are considered out on this race as well. The finalists are shaping up. Both New York teams are out. The San Francisco Giants are out. If there's any information that comes out between now and the end of this recording or between this getting edited, we'll find out. But it seems like it's the Dodgers and the Padres who are going to drive this ship. Maybe the Blue Jays are really in it after that meeting that Sasaki had in Toronto. He apparently visited Toronto. This is according to Ken Rosenthal. But now that the Yankees are ruled out of Roki Sasaki, they will be allowed to kind of just proceed with their international free agent signings and kind of go through that process and acquire the young players they're planning on acquiring from the various countries in Latin America without any disturbance, without any concern about having to deal with keeping money aside for Sasaki. Now, the Yankees' odds of signing Sasaki were always pretty low. I recently bumped it up to 15%, but 15% of your odds of signing a player is still not great. Look, it's nothing that the Yankees did wrong. There are many people who believed, including people in the Yankee organization, who, believed that he was going to be, someone who wanted to on the West Coast. It was a prevailing league-wide industry opinion that teams on the West Coast would have the upper edge, that the Dodgers were going to drive this ship, that the Padres were the kind of the primary foil to the Dodgers here. But given a lot of the instability with ownership on the Padres side of things, I do wonder if the Dodgers just end up getting him. I've said I thought the Dodgers were going to get him for weeks now. That was a prediction. That wasn't really sourced. But it seems that now that all these teams are being ruled out and just kind of like looking through who's the most desirable organization, all that stuff, the Dodgers kind of make sense of the pick here. It kind of feels like Ohtani, where Ohtani's clear, like kind of not preferred destination, but his favored suitor was the Dodgers. The Dodgers were always overwhelming favorites for his services. And then he ended up there after kind of weeks of like, oh my God, is he actually going to consider other options? Is there other teams that have a shot here? Why did the Yankees have a shot? Why do the Blue Jays have a shot? Blah, 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 so on and so forth. And we'll see where Sasaki ends up signing. But for the Yankees, again, they are out. They will be allowed to conduct through their offseason as normally planned in terms of their international free agent signings. They don't have a big-named guy that's going to come to them this winter. Next year, they have some other more interesting players or more highly ranked relative to their class, but they can still do a very good job of importing international free agent talent at a pretty high level. So I do expect that some of these guys at least present interesting options to kind of evaluate throughout the minor league season this year. In regards to some other news regarding kind of the ripple effects of the Sasaki thing, I do think the market is going to start to pick up. Not Sasaki's going to settle with the team soon. I think the Yankees can conduct business kind of as normally expected. I think one of the things that maybe gave them a little bit of pause making some decisions was that if you were to import Roki Sasaki, that would come at the cost of importing prospects that you plan on importing onto your roster through international free agency, maybe losing a top guy. I know the Dodgers had one of their top guys decommit and go to the Pirates. And in that scenario, you would need to be a little more cautious of how you operate with your farm system. Now with the Yankees importing all this young talent, perhaps they feel a little more comfortable parting ways with some young players or some guys in the organization. Maybe they feel more comfortable going out and targeting a left-hand reliever and bringing that in. I'm sure they're still kind of waiting and seeing where Bregman goes before they start being super active on the infield market. That market hasn't necessarily developed yet. Ha-Seong Kim's still out there. Jorge Polanco's still out there. Brendan Rodgers is still out there. On the trade front, guys like Willie Castro, Ramon Arias, guys who don't really have homes on their current roster could still get dealt, and I wonder if the Yankees are involved in that. Brendan Donovan of St. Louis Cardinals isn't someone I expect to get moved, but is someone who the Cardinals failed to reach an arbitration agreement with, and we're actually not really that interested in giving him that multi-year extension that he was rumored to get kind of at the start of the day of the arbitration deadline. In terms of any financial things the Yankees have to figure out, Marcus Stroman's trade situation is obviously on the forefront. And of course, they have to settle in arbitration with Mark Leiter Jr. The discrepancy in contract isn't massive there. It's about $2.5 million versus $2.05 million. The Yankees said, submitted a $2.05 million offer. Mark Leiter Jr. Submitted a $2.5 million offer. They were unable to reach an agreement before the deadline. We'll see if that ends up going to arbitration or if they settle kind of before that case. They can kind of go through an arbitration case, which are usually pretty ugly. And I would recommend for the Yankees to try and avoid when they can. They haven't had one since Dellin Betances nearly a decade ago. It was a very ugly kind of public mess of a trial. So not trial of a case and of a back and forth. And, Dell ended up losing that case. I do wonder if the Yankees just kind of like don't want to go through that again. And I would also not want Mark Leiter Jr. to go through that again. It's not very enjoyable for a player, especially if they're at the arbitration hearing itself. And then lastly, in terms of any, updates, the Yankees are, we talked about Brooks Raley being someone that the Yankees were interested in. We know that they still hold interest in Tim Hill, Andrew Chafin. They still have an interest in trying to trade Stroman. Maybe Sasaki coming off the board kind of gives us an indication of what teams are still going to need starting pitching help. And maybe Stroman is appealing to some of them. There was an update recently that Jack Flaherty is open to in a short-term high AAV deal. I doubt that really has anything to do with the Yankees directly. I don't think the Yankees are in Jack Flaherty's market. They signed a starting pitcher to a hefty contract. I doubt they do another. But perhaps him signing and other guys going off the board would entice another team to be a little more desperate and go, okay, how much will we have to eat of Marcus Stroman's contract? Or maybe, swapping players. Now, in terms of getting back to Sasaki here, does this mean the Yankees are never going to get another Japanese-born player again? Is it done for the Yankees in getting MPB talent? Who knows? Right? Like, I can't tell you guys that the Yankees are going to sign this guy or that guy next year or that guy the year after. We don't really know. But what I would say is that if Sasaki goes to the Dodgers, obviously, they would have three of the best NPB players on the planet or guys who played in the NPB on the planet. But you never know how tides change, right? The Yankees were once the team that just kind of got some of the top Japanese talent. The Rangers once brought in Yu Darvish. Things don't always last forever. I'm not, Shodi Managa last winter, very good starting pitcher, went to the Chicago Cubs. Kodai Senga the year before, went to the New York Mets. Masataka Yoshida went to the Boston Red Sox. So I don't necessarily believe that every single Japanese star, every single Japanese player will go to the Dodgers. Even on the position player side of things, not every single Japanese player is going to be a fit for the Los Angeles Dodgers on their roster. And not every Japanese-born player is going to want to be a Los Angeles Dodger. Maybe some of them want to go to the West Coast because of proximity. Maybe some of them want to go to the Yankees. Maybe some of them want to go to the Red Sox or the Mets or whatever. But I would still keep that door open. The Yankees got a meeting with Sasaki. There was clearly at least some preliminary interest. Again, I expect him to end up a Los Angeles Dodger. That's just kind of how I see this going. If he ends up a Padre, maybe that changes the conversation around this. But I wouldn't walk away from the Sasaki thing thinking the Yankees will never sign another Japanese-born player again. The Dodgers are going to get every single Japanese-born player. The Yankees should stop even looking at Japanese players. You should explore any and all options of the market, even if you feel like you're at a disadvantage there. I wouldn't say it's hard for me to say don't be disappointed because Roki Sasaki is a great player. And if he were a New York Yankee, it would boost our odds of contention dramatically. I did go over the massive advantages of having Roki Sasaki on your roster. He is eligible to win Rookie of the Year. If he does, your team does get a compensation pick, a first-round pick for him winning the award. He's 6 years of control. 3 of those years are non-arbitration years. The last 3 are arbitration years. It's structured the same way a minor league deal is structured. He doesn't have to be on your 40-man roster the day you sign him. He has 3 minor league options. There are so many advantages to Roki Sasaki. There's no downside to Roki Sasaki. The downside is that he's not good, and you're paying, nothing for a not good player, which happens all the time. But it's disappointing because he's a great player. He's not going to be a New York Yankee. But on the other hand, the Yankees never really had great odds of him. It always kind of felt like it was going to be Dodgers, Padres, with the Dodgers having a huge edge here. And it just kind of like it's shaping up to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll see where things go. We'll see how this evolves. We'll see if things change. We'll see if, the Padres end up getting him or maybe the Blue Jays who had that visit in Toronto recently. According to Ken Rosenthal, that article, I believe, came out today. But the Yankees are not going to get Roki Sasaki. The Mets aren't going to get Roki Sasaki. The San Francisco Giants aren't going to get Roki Sasaki. And if you did get a meeting with Roki Sasaki, like the Red Sox, Phillies, all those teams, they're also not getting Roki Sasaki. So it's unfortunate for us. It wasn't really likely. It wasn't, I think, at the forefront of the Yankees' plans. I don't think at any point in time Roki Sasaki became this must-have or this expectation for the Yankees. I think they always kind of had this belief that they should at least try, because you should try for Roki Sasaki, but that the odds were stacked against them. And we'll go from there. We'll see. The Yankees, they could always use more depth everywhere. I don't think they're going to add a starting pitcher. I think Sasaki was their only kind of bet at adding a starting pitcher. Maybe they'll add to their bullpen. I would love to see Tim Hill come back, or if they have to go get Andrew Chafin or Brooks Raley, that'd be great. I prefer Brooks Raley with another lefty, because Raley won't be available at the start of the season. And I would love to see an infielder. It seems like they're going to go more of a low-priced option. That would mean more Jorge Polanco or Brendan Rodgers. In that case, I'd prefer Jorge Polanco to Brendan Rodgers. But again, we'll see there. Maybe they trade for someone. Again, we talked about this yesterday. The prospect of trading Marcus Stroman in a deal in which you're taking back money and you're getting the infielder you're looking for. That was floated by Ken Rosenthal. I talked about a mock trade on there. But with that all being said, check out this morning's podcast if you missed our conversation. We were talking about Ben Rice. We had some fun conversations there. We're going to go live tonight, although the topic of tonight's live stream would change. I was going to have it centered around Roki Sasaki, but now that we are out, that's no longer going to be the case. But we will be going live tonight at 6:30 p.m. We love you guys so much. We appreciate you guys sticking through to the end of the video and tuning in to the Fireside Yankees podcast. Guys can check out us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, the YouTube page. And of course, check us out at empiresportsmedia.com. Links for everything are in the description. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody. Let's go, Yankees.